WVU football player, an All-American, someone that's going to be drafted in the NFL. Zach Frazier, a great human being. I mean, you know this, I know this, but the world does not know that.
Welcome to Suncrest United Methodist Church in Morgantown, West Virginia with Pastor Larry Buckland. Each week, Larry will ramble on about Sunday's sermon, impactful people in ministries, and no doubt, sports. This is The Rev Rambles On.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to The Rev Rambles On. I'm Larry Buckland, pastor at Suncrest United Methodist Church, and I've got a special guest today with me, Zach Frazier. Many of you know Zach Frazier as WVU football player. Many of you know him as an All-American. Many of you know him as someone that's going to be drafted in the NFL. But guess what, friends? I've known Zach since he was a kid. And so it's my pleasure to be able to share this time with him, talk a little bit of football, but we'll also talk a little bit about faith. So I want to welcome everybody as we talk today on the Rev Rambles On. So Zach, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with me today.
Well, thank you for that introduction, and thanks for having me today.
Of course. I want to talk a little bit about football and faith today, but one of the things that I think everybody thinks about that I've heard since your last play. Well, let me talk about that just for a minute. The last time you wore the gold and blue on the field in game action, to me, you represented the embodiment of what it means to be a WVU football player, being a West Virginian, being a team player. Can you recall that play? Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it was the last drive of the game. We were down. We didn't have any timeouts. It was actually the first play of the drive. We called a tunnel screen to the left, and I kind of released out on the play. And it was really weird. My responsibility is to, block the first guy outside of the box. And for whatever reason, there was no one there but our receiver. So I kind of just grabbed him and tried to start running with him, try to get, as many yards as he could. And then someone came from behind me, and obviously they couldn't tackle Hudson because I had him. So he kind of did that like hip drop tackle right on the side of my leg, and it broke when he fell on it. So I just remember being in a lot of pain, and I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know exactly what was wrong. And I knew I couldn't play another snap, so I knew I had to get off the field. And I just, did my best to get off the field.
It was unbelievable to see you be aware in your pain to get off the field, knowing how much it meant.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Because if you don't get off the field there, Zach, who knows what happens? I mean,
yeah,
we would like to think the outcome was the same, but we probably would have lost some clock.
Yeah. I just try to, do my job and try to, do whatever could help us win.
Yeah.
And, but credit to, Yates that came in.
Yeah.
He hadn't got a snap since, pregame warm-up. So that was impressive for him. He had perfect snaps all the way down the rest of the drive. And, everyone else executed, and, it all paid off.
Yeah. Your dad and I actually talked about that later, about how well Yates did play.
Yeah.
And finishing that drive and making it happen.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell everybody how great, though, you're doing in your recovery? So
I had surgery that Monday after the game, and I was non-weight bearing for 6 weeks. It's a long time. It's not very fun. So that was the hardest part, probably, is not being able to walk. But then, once I was cleared, I could start walking. I had to kind of learn to do that again, and, get all my muscles strong again that haven't been used. But then I went from, learning to walk to, jogging at, half body weight, and just working up slowly from there, and just trying to, push it every day as much as my body could handle. And I'm thankful that my, body responded pretty well.
Yeah. You look great. You look like you're moving great and everything that we get to see. One question that I hadn't prepared for you that I couldn't believe when you were of course, you went to the bowl game. You were a team player, even though injury, you wanted to be there, I know, with your team, but I couldn't believe watching you try to get in that race car.
Oh yeah. That was a challenge. I actually, I kind of got at that video that got out. Right after it ended, I got out of it because I didn't fit. So then I got in a bigger race car, and it was fun. But I actually got a little claustrophobic for like the first time. Yeah, it was pretty funny. It was a cool experience, though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like when I see that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what is he doing?
Yeah. Probably wasn't the best idea looking back on it, but it was fun.
It was fun, and hey, you guys also won the bowl game.
Yeah.
And I was glad to be able to be there.
Yeah.
Even though you weren't get to be able on the field, I wanted to know that I was at one of your last games, because the Baylor game when you got hurt, I can actually tell you when the camera put it on you and you went to the sideline and you done your job, but when you pounded that bench, I knew it wasn't good. I saw your face. I'm like, he's giving it all that he can, but it's not good. So let's back up now. Growing up in Fairmont, your family, your coaches, and your faith, can you tell me a little bit about how your family, your coaches, and faith has played a part of the journey in your life?
Yeah. I think for me, that starts with my parents, my mom and dad, which you know well. I grew up in the church, and they took me to church every Sunday. And I think that's really what, started my faith, is my parents, teaching me the word, and then just really having me grow up in the church, which I think that's, the foundation that really helped me.
And I can definitely say your family thinks how important that is, not only your immediate family, but your extended family, your aunts and your uncles, your grandparents.
Yeah.
They really believe how much is important for your faith to be a part of your life and helping you. And it's no surprise to me that it continues on in you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So your family also has a huge wrestling tradition from your grandfather, your uncles, your cousin. Tell us a little bit about that, and have you missed it?
Yeah, I miss wrestling every once in a while, but I always say that football is always my favorite. So, but yeah, wrestling was a lot of fun, and especially, my mom's side of the family, she was the oldest of 4, and all 3 of her younger brothers were all state champions, and her dad, my grandpa. So that's kind of, her side of the family has been my wrestling influence, and it's been pretty special. And then my dad's side, he's my football influence. So
that's exactly right.
Get the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Now, any of the rest of your family, were they like you with 4-time state champion? No. Okay. So you can brag a little, right?
Yeah.
You got a little bragging rights. Now, I guess the question is, have you ever wrestled them in like workouts or fun or?
They would wrestle me when I was younger.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't tried it out recently.
Yeah. So can you take them?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think I can take them now.
That's good to know. I'll have to ask them at the next family event on what they think.
Yeah,
I would really like to know what Jeff, your Uncle Jeff thinks.
He would never give in.
I was going to say he would never say, probably no matter how old he gets.
Yeah,
he would never say you could beat him.
Yeah.
But yeah, your dad played college football at Fairmont State, and how did that become a part of your influence and help you with your football journey?
Yeah, so my dad grew up in Florida and then was recruited to play at Fairmont State. Played center there, and that's how he met my mom, because she was from Fairmont.
Right.
And really my dad was, taught me technique, fundamentals from Little League to middle school, and really just helped me develop a love for the game as well. We would always watch football games together, and just from a young age really kindled that love for football in me.
And the teaching background also that your dad has.
Yeah.
He was, I can tell even in my interaction with him and watching him with your journey, he's always teaching you, wasn't he? Right.
Yeah.
When he'd probably stop the game that you were watching at times. I don't know this, but probably stop and say, now, do you see this?
He would pause. He'd do that all the time. He would pause the game, rewind it, just so I could be aware of what was going on, like on the TV. Yeah.
I mean, you know this, I know this, but the world does not know that your dad would come to me and we would make copies of plays from all of your opponents.
Yeah.
I mean, in college, here at WVU, he was scouting your opponents.
Yeah.
And he would have what they do so that he would have copies for you to study and look at. I'm sure your coaches did the same, but your dad was going the extra steps too.
Yeah. My dad did that from high school all the way through college. He would, scout out, the other teams and, write down their defensive looks and really just help me out a lot. In the weeks before preparing for teams, just kind of knew what I was going to get into that week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
That what he would go to do that for. I was glad sometimes to be able to see that happening, some of those copies, and I would have a great look at some of those pictures. Yep. So you were recruited by other schools. So why West Virginia University?
I would say I grew up as a fan first. I grew up watching Gino and Tavon and Stedman and all those guys, Owen Schmidt, Pat White. Like, it was a good time to be a kid and be a fan. When I did get offered to play up here, it was pretty special. Actually, when I first got offered, they offered me to play defense, the old staff. And then when the new staff came in and told me that they wanted me to play offense, it was kind of a done deal because I kind of felt like I would be better at offense and defense at the next level. But yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. Who knows what the trajectory would have been?
Yeah.
If you had committed to the old staff and played defense, I think you still would have been awesome.
Yeah,
but
I don't know.
I might be biased.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, you played, of course, both sides in high school.
Yeah.
And I've seen you have some pretty vicious hits on the defensive side as well and pancake some guys.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So it's been a fun time for people also are going to say, I remember watching Zach Frazier. You're talking about watching Gino and Tavon. And I know I can say that. My son, who's going to be a senior at the era, alma mater, Fairmont Senior. Yeah. And, there's a lot of kids and a lot of people that look up to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're very welcome. Do you have one or two moments as a Mountaineer? Now, I'm sure there are a bunch.
Yeah.
But do you have one or two that you would like to share with everybody that are the ones that you will always remember?
Probably the best one I have is my freshman year when I found out that I was going to start the first game. That was pretty special. I remember calling like my family and everything and telling them that was something I'll never forget.
I won't either. Your mom called me and said, you can't say anything to anybody.
Yeah.
But Zach started.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. That was
incredible. Not many freshmen start on the offensive line.
And it was kind of hard because it was COVID.
Yeah.
And there was all these restrictions and it just made everything a little bit harder. So it was really special that it worked out the way that it did. You
moved through that adversity and COVID was hard for everybody.
Yeah.
And so kudos to you for the way you've handled that.
Thank you.
At what point did you know then, besides your mom telling you when you were a little kid, that the NFL was a real possibility?
Well, like you said, that had been my dream since I was probably in elementary school to play in the NFL. I had a fat head growing up and, I was a huge Dolphins fan. So I grew up, wanting to play in the NFL one day. But I think it starts out with, like for that to happen, there has to be some steps along the way. Like you have to get offered a scholarship. You have to, go to, maybe a Division I school, maybe not, but, that helps. And then play early. And then, have success on the field. Like that's just kind of like the steps along the way for that to happen. And I've just been really blessed that's happened.
Well, we're all proud of you, that's for sure. My last couple of messages that I've talked about here in our message series at Suncrest United Methodist Church has been about prayer. It's about being present for others. Can you tell me what prayer looks like for you as a football player that leans upon your faith?
Yeah, so for me, it's every night my wife and I pray before we go to bed, and we pray or we give thanks for the things that happen throughout the day that we're thankful for. And then also, pray throughout the day. A lot of times I'll find myself like at the combine, or I'll be like, I just need to stop and, give thanks for, being in, this, like you grow up watching the combine and then you're there and like give thanks for being there, or just like seeing sunsets or sunrises, like stuff like that. Like I like to stop and, give thanks for that type of stuff.
And that means also being present in the moment. And we've talked about our presence and how important that is. And I think you also know that as a teammate, a family member. I know how important your family is to you, and they've been present with you along the way. I've been fortunate as a pastor to be a part of that journey a little bit and to be able to be present for some of your things. And what does that mean for you, not only for those who are present for you, but for you to be present for others?
I think it's just like having that support system, that when, they need you, you're there for them. And then when you're not having a great day, they're there for you. And I think it's just picking each other up and just really, helping everyone get along.
I'm so honored that I got to watch you grow up, got to watch you wrestle, play football, be there with your family. The day you verbally committed, I got to be there. I was there, one of those very small amount of people. Trey and I, my son, were there during COVID to watch you play when it seemed like, wow, where is everybody? It just didn't seem like it was unnatural. There wasn't, in a 60,000 stadium, a couple hundred people there maybe. Yeah. And that's just, it was crazy. And then, but more than that, I was humbled to be able to officiate your wedding with you and Stephanie.
Yep.
And so that was just an awesome opportunity. So today, you took the time just before one of the biggest days of your life to be present with me, and that means a lot to me.
Oh, well, thank you.
So I want to tell you how much that means. So I want to say thank you to you, and that you've never changed. And when I say that is, yes, you've changed, you've grown, you've gotten to be a better athlete, a better football player, a better person. But even with all the things that are coming your way, you're taking the time like today to do this, and you haven't changed with your family, your friends, your coaches, and all that. You're still Zach Frazier, a great human being who God is definitely saying, I believe this is my son in whom I'm well pleased.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
And so I'm so honored to be a part of that. So what I'm going to ask you to do is keep doing what you're doing.
I will.
Keep grinding. Keep your family in your closest circle. And just as I said to you on your wedding day in the message is, don't forget that third chord of God, that presence of God will continue to keep you and Stephanie, and keep you and your family. And I know you're going to go do great things.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
You got anything else you want to say, Zach? This is called The Rev Rambles On. So if you want to ramble on anything else, it's up to you.
Not unless you have anything else.
All right. Well, we both want to say thank you to everybody that is watching or listening to The Rev Rambles On. I hope that you will share this, because some of you will just hear the name Zach Frazier called on a draft day coming soon. But if you get a chance to watch this or listen to Zach Frazier, you'll know also the human being that he is, not just the football player and the child of God that he is. So please share The Rev Rambles On. We'd love to have more listeners and viewers. So that's the way we can do it, by you doing that. And if you ever need anything, I'm here in Morgantown, West Virginia at Suncrest United Methodist Church. You can find us online at suncrestumc.org. And you won't have a hard time finding Zach Frazier very soon in a football city to come.
Yep.
Your dad's a Miami Dolphins fan. Your uncles are Dallas and grandfather Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yep.
But whatever team he lands will be the fan I am.
Oh, well, thank you.
So look forward to getting that jersey, Zach.
Thank you.
Thank you again. Have a great week, everybody.